spoken word poetry slam event. I've been here once to do this actually many years ago, and it's a memory that's really stuck with me. It's an awesome event that you have here. So we're going to have some amazing poetry up here today. We're going to be running through a whole bunch of poets. All the poets you see are on stage before you. Before we get any further in the show, can we give it up for all these poets up here on the stage? Also, you know, it's especially pertinent when we're doing spoken word, which is an oral poetry practice, to recognize where we are, recognizing that we're on the unceded and traditional territories of the Coquitlam First Nation, lying within the shared territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, Katzie, Musqueam, Quake, Squamish, and Stolo nations, Osea. And yeah, I mentioned that being pertinent to spoken word because, like I say, it's oral poetry, and the presence of so many of us who are non-Indigenous here is a result of deliberate efforts to disrupt and destroy the cultural transmission of oral tradition that exists within these communities. So I hope that in sharing this, in exploring this art form and connecting with each other, and in you being amazing audience members and listening to the poems that are up here, that we are broadening ourselves, that we are able to open ourselves up a little more and become more compassionate and more open-minded people, and move towards a society where we are all really able to listen to each other, hold difficult truths, and find our way forward in a good way towards a place where we can begin the conciliatory path. I won't say reconciliation, but I will say conciliation. I think we can get there, and I believe that doing arts practices like this and leaving space and being open to it is a step towards that future. So yeah, when we do oral poetry, really important to recognize that there are master storytellers and poets who live in these lands and who could tell us thousands of years of history here, and we, in our own small way, are contributing to a world where we normalize orality and normalize poetry. You can snap to that if you want. We'll do a lot of snapping today. I also want to recognize the photos you saw as you came in today, and we're getting settled. These are from Mr. Schoenhell's photography class, so let's give a round of applause for the And it's relevant for you to know that there is a new element to the Poetry Slam this year, and that is a People's Choice Award. So at the end of this block, we'll be running through as many poets as we can get through, and around 1:35 we'll take a pause because the block will be coming to an end. And when we get to that point, that wonderful projector screen will be lowered. There will be a QR code upon it, and you can access via the QR code what is it here? You can go through a link, it'll be a Microsoft form, and there you can enter the poet that you thought was your favorite for in the first round of poems. And with that person will be announced as the winner of the People's Choice Award, and they will get a prize through your judgment. So that's a way that you can have a say, because in a poetry slam, we actually have a limited number of judges. So how many of you have been through a proper poetry slam before? Yeah? I see like a few of you. Nice. And I guess just to see a sea of hands go forth. Who has never been to a poetry slam before? Wow, okay, the rest of you are neutral. You don't know if you've been to a poetry slam before. Well, whatever, I'll explain it to you. So, in a poetry slam, what you're going to see is each of these poets getting on stage. They're going to get up here on the microphone. They're going to deliver their wonderful poems to you. And then what makes it a slam and not just an open mic is the fact that we are going to be having 5 judges. 4 judges, actually. Normally it's 5 in a regular poetry slam, but here we're doing a special of 4. And those 4 judges, at the end of the poem, I'm going to pop up here. I'm going to give the judges about 10 seconds. And then I'm going to ask them to put scores in the air. And they're going to hold up scores from 1 to 10. And then I will read out those scores aloud. So most of you, your job is just to sit here, enjoy the poetry, show a lot of love and support from the poets on stage as they come up to the microphone and as they leave the microphone. But the other thing you can do is you can try to sway the judges. If you don't like the scores that they are giving, you thought the poem was better than the score it received, then you can yell higher at the judges. Try to encourage them to give better scores, the ones that you want to see. And if you like the scores they're giving, you can cheer for them. The big thing here, the most important thing to bear in mind with the Poetry Slam is that we have a saying in the slam community. It's that the point is not the points, the point is the poetry. So as much as we're giving scores, it's really just a way that we can add a little bit of tension to a poetry open mic, essentially, and make it a little more, a little more interesting. So, what we're really here to do is celebrate the work of these artists on stage. And what I need from us is for us to show them a lot of love every time. Every single person gets up to the microphone as I announce their name. We're going to cheer for them when they come up. And then when they're done, because whenever you think of an individual poem, I think we all realize it's a very, very difficult thing to get up on stage and read in front of a group of human beings in any setting. So we want to applaud equally enthusiastically as the people finish their poem and leave the stage to show them that we appreciate their courage and the bravery it takes to share. While poets are performing, you can engage with them and let them know whether you're liking what you're hearing. So if you hear a line in a poem and you're like, oh, that was a really dope line. Oh, that was very thoughtful. I like that. You can let them know by snapping your fingers. Let's all snap our fingers just a little bit. And if you're like me and you have not yet, well, I can snap now, but if you are like me as I was at your age and you have not yet learned how to make your fingers snap, you can crab claw. You can throw up some jazz hands, that sort of thing. And this is good. This is an ample demonstration. I'm just making announcements, so if there's muttering, I'm going to be louder than you are. But when a poet gets on stage and they're doing their poem, other than snapping, how are we going to be? Quiet. Yeah, we're not going to yell quiet out in the middle of the poem. We're just going to sit there in silence. Watch it. Enjoy it. Sit down. And then we're going to make a lot of noise for the poet when they're leaving the stage. All right, we're mostly covered here. Oh yes, and of course, please, equal to that, if in your quietude, let it not be the quiet of staring at a phone. Please give your attention to each poet as they are on stage. Be present with them in the room. The last thing I'll say here is just that in order to respect the poets, if you do need to get up and go to the washroom, please do so between poems, right? Let's not be getting up and moving around in the middle of a poem. The one exception to this, of course, is that if there is subject matter that comes up in poetry, because, poetry can be about anything, and sometimes it can be about difficult truths, like I said. So if there's something that comes up that is difficult for you, it's making you uncomfortable, then please, you can quietly excuse yourself. Do make sure that you go and check in with your teacher, let them know what's happening, and know that there are counselors on hand if you need to have a chat about whatever it is that's come up for you in that moment. Yeah? Respect that process. Make sure that it's in the event that something is happening. And that you need to take care of yourself in that exact moment. All right, I think we're there. Are you ready for the poetry slam? Yeah? There's actually one last grim poetry slam ritual I'm going to introduce you to. And what's going to happen this time is that I'm going to ask you that same question, but what I need you to do is howl at me going, blood! Okay, can you do that? Can you yell blood at me? All right. Are you ready for a poetry slam? Blood! Yeah, okay, this is one thing that we do in poetry slam all the time, because we can't just bring these poets up here cold and throw them at the judges. We need a blood sacrifice. We need a sacrificial poet. We like to use dramatic language in poetry slam. This is just a calibration poet. The poet who's going to get up is going to do a poem. They're not in the competition, but they will get a score, and it's a chance for the judges to practice before they do the real thing. Sound good? So, I'm just going to say, on deck for our first poem in the actual slam is Sophie Giesbrecht. But right now, we're going to have a sacrificial poem from Johnny McRae. I didn't have a good public transit experience getting here, but I'm going to do this poem anyway. I am proud to be a bus rider. I am good at riding the bus. It might seem strange, but I think not, because I know what I got in life's genetic lot, and something begot to me that's never been taught to me is a feeling for bus riding. You see, in the engine of speech, I feel a beat that keeps my feet fleet and body free. So when I ride the bus, I ride the bus. I move my body to its thrust and lend its frame my gravity's trust until I see the stops I seek. And the American Public Transit Association's 1996 System of the Year gives me cause for celebration, because I ride that compass line from Kids to Commercial, downtown to Dunbar. I'm on the wrong side of the stage here. As far as Pocock, Surrey, Tsawwassen, and back to North Van, where I rode the 246 Highlands all of my youth in the shadow of Van City's meadows of truth. It's a wild ride, buzzing those hillsides, fight against the shakes and bumps, sudden twists and occasional speed humps, a labyrinthian maze of broken streets. Where getting anywhere standing is an Olympian feat, but You don't really need to stand on the 246, because most people in North Vancouver don't really like to ride what they think of as the loser cruiser. Whereas elsewhere on the proletariat chariot, I gotta compete for space, and in consequence I get all territorial, like what I see is my space, those three brothers share that place, and we're piled all together, breathing face to face. It's like I'm locked inside some air-walled case, because I'm restricted to me and my seat, or piece of vowel at my feet, and I can't always breathe or keep straight knees when the awkwardness, or when everyone is an island and the awkwardness a raging sea. I could ride 5 miles and never see 5 smiles while these politics are played about where a gaze lays. And people use cell phones and papers to keep strangers at bay, so psychologically, bus riding is tiring, a miserable stillness transpiring, but still, I find the bus inspiring. There's something strange in my deranged wiring. You see, my mom's dad was a bus driver, and my uncle, a transit supervisor. So when I speak, it's always a choice between using words or making bus sounds with my voice. Here's the moment. Before I get them to put up their scores, I always give the judges a little extra time after the calibration code, but we will get very fast judges, and what I will be saying to you throughout is speed, not accuracy. I want to introduce our judges. We're going to cheer for our judges now, because later, you may disagree with their scores, and you might not want to cheer at that point, but we will cheer for them later too. So first up, we're going to have Mr. Bruno as a judge. We're going to have Mrs. McKay. We have alumni teacher Mrs. Leonard in the house. And rounding out our group of judges, please, let's hear it from Mrs. Johal today. All right, judges, for the first time, calibration. 3, 2, 1. Up with those scores. We have a 9.4, an 8.5, a 9, and, oh, I gotta see it. We got an 8.8. There we go. Give it up for the points. I'm getting my words all mixed up. What I'm gonna say to you every time is give it up for the poet and not the points, not give it up for the points and not the poet, which is what I always say. But it's good if I say it about myself. I won't say it about any of y'all. All right. So, now are you ready for a poetry slam? Don't use the play. Are you ready? Up to the stage. This means right now, Scarlett, you are on deck, but please welcome up at this moment Sophie Giesbrecht.
A blur of blue and white siding in my rearview mirror as I drive past. On the same trip I've taken every day for the past 2 years, through the mundane forest and down hallway. The same row of houses, each only capturing my attention for a glimpse of time and then forgotten. But today is different. Today I'm noticing as the blue and white house steps into focus. I stop to look, to really look for the first time in what feels like ages. The white panel siding clean like a fresh start, the blue trim vibrant and inviting as the ocean. Smoke pillows from the chimney, a promise of the warmth to be found inside. Stoic blinds drawn tight across polished window panes, shielding from the harsh light of the outside. Perfectly placed stepping stones guide me to the front door, inviting me in, compelling me forward. Over time, the house and I grew familiar with each other. I explored crowded corridors and barren bedrooms, my bare feet padding across rough tile. I shone a light on all the shadowed corners, memorized the names of every book on every shelf, and spent hours uncovering all the best hiding spots. The house was warm, but not cozy like a campfire, not comfortable in the way that a house should be. Instead, the heat grew suffocating, agonizing, like trying to sleep on a hot summer's night. I sat my unease for a year, continued dissecting all the beautifully flawed artifacts of the blue and white house. My only escape route was the side door, as the vicey blue entrance adorning the front was only used to uphold the welcoming facade. The house always smelled of cookies that had been left to bake for too long. The air smelt of sour milk. For months I taught myself to find comfort in this hutch of a house, and I'd gotten embarrassingly good at it. Silent tiptoeing and avoiding conversationalism became soft skills added to my resume. I had outgrown the blue and white house. My construction crew helped me tear down the facade, and I left through the front door, retraced my steps down the stone path of manipulation, and felt the car door slam shut after me as I drove away, leaving the blue and white house in my rearview mirror. Today, as I drive past, taking the same trip I've taken every day for the past 3 years, I strain my neck to get a better look at the blue and white house. The windows still boarded up, smoke still rising from the chimney, a warning sign waiting to be misinterpreted. Hours of my life, countless memories, reduced to a glance, a smile, a nod. A week, a month, or a year from now, I'll drive through the same forest, down the same street, and past the same blue and white house. But by then the memories will have faded. The wounds won't feel so fresh. My gaze won't falter. My eyes will remain focused on the road beyond my steering wheel, and I won't even remember to look for you in my rearview mirror.
Hey, Sophie, let's keep it going for Sophie. All right, judges, we're gonna get a little faster and faster as we go. We get a little extra time to start now, but 3, 2, 1. Up with those scores, facing towards me. We have from left to right an 8.3. You can remember, you can tell the judges whether you like the score. Now, we got an 8.7, we got an 8.4, and an 8.5 for Sophie. Give it up for the poet. There we go. A friend of mine has pointed out that if you yell higher after the scores have gone up, it's impossible for them to get higher, so you might want to keep that in mind. All right, Zephyrion, we got you on deck, but right now we're going to hear a poem from Scarlett Stratton. There we go. Yeah, Scarlett.
Barren sands hold captive eyes in deserts, while mountainous valleys peak towards low heavens. Icy tundra's burning cold contains ages, yet water holds meaning of breath. Held in on plates of plain normalcy, surrounded on heights packed of stability, slipping into averaging idiosyncrasies where lives unrevealed tenacity. Water, waves of salt and purity, contrasting, vigorously pounding habitual simplicity, harboring nature and beauty complexly, deep, thus encapsulating futuristic probability. Under shores belongs my journey's expectancy. My mind reflects the way of the water. Sailors give trust to oceanic tendencies, abiding by the movement of the wind dawned upon twisted seas. Not always understanding where a final destination may be, though moving through as fast as the allowance of riptides. I need motion of life to be hasty. Without growth and progression, rising tension influences impressions, stuck, motionless in a land of upbringing, no forward to increase ways of thinking, lost by living in a town of corners I recognize, condoned home. Seas may seem at bay, though never are stopped by the outcome of a choice, ebbing and flowing. Without, I'm afraid of what will be made. I will not lead without something at stake, always facing a wanted precipice, underwater drop-offs that lead abyss, no safety, no security. As counterintuitive as that may seem, no land to stop and settle, movement that is free. Never trapped at the wood of a dock, diving further into potential to unlock. What does the water hold? Why does it compare to the way I unfold? Tenacity, bravery, always wanting for new, rerouting if I were to hit shore. Sailing with no destination. Forward, determined to find advancement in worldly wisdom. The drive, the goal to be something great. I need to be in this pushing forth state, not seeking anything like the vastness of the sea, but knowing what is always true to me. Knowing that sailing is solitary, only me and the water. The percent of people wanting the future I want is slim. That's why it's so hard to fit in. Oceans may seem like a sea of the same, yet everything is different. always different, changing, looking to alter, like water not content with staying still, it's a falter. I sail the sea as I look for my future. Let the wind be my guide, yes, but I set my sail in the direction that I want to go. Searching for living not on land, not stationary or similar to the common life plan, not accepting the commonality of sand in the desert or the cold in the tundra, limiting possibility. Caught at the peak of a mountain that can bring me no further but down. My mind reflects the way of the ocean, the reason why I breathe. I will sail along the rippling currents, discovering what hasn't been seen, what has always not been seen by an eye tied to the land of the known, not bothering with commonalities constantly foreshown. It is often the choice to choose land, as a great many joys it provides. Sailing is a life that is free, the one that no one chooses but me. I'll be in my sailboat.
That was Scarlett Stratton. One more time for Scarlett. All right, Jonas. You look like you're already ready. That's excellent. So, I was just going to make a quick note while I was giving the judges their 10 seconds, which is that although I have known all of these poets for many years, I still occasionally get people's names wrong, and I have allowed them the right, if I do so, on the microphone to come up and give me a playful little fist bump in the shoulder, shall we say. Very playful, all in good fun. But, so, judges, 3, 2, 1, up with your scores. We have, from left to right, a 9.6, we have a 9.8, we have a 9.1, and we have our very first 10. Give it up for the That means that on deck we have Riel, but right now we're going to hear a poem from Zephyrion. Please welcome Zephyrion to the stage.
Empathy. What is it, and why does it feel so far away from us? Empathy is a little boat sailing off into the dark sea, a boat guided by a lighthouse that is only a speck in the distance, one that seems to recede further and further away. The waves of that sea are media that crashes up onto the boat, making it harder to be seen. The media distracts us, pushing pity and apathy alongside the boat, crashing down and coming our way. What's so bad about that, you might ask? Pity or apathy will never be as strong as empathy. Apathy will never understand or hear you because it doesn't want to. Pity feels sorry for you. They will only ever see things from their perspective, never yours. Trouble with the friend? Pity disguised as sympathy will say, well, you're lucky you have a friend. Why has empathy decided to sail off into the sea? Do we have technology to blame, or ourselves for giving into technology and social media so easily? Empathy is looking through someone else's eyes to see what they see, or to step into someone else's shoes to feel what they feel. Empathy is to imagine you're walking down the same path as another. Empathy is understanding. Empathy is connection. Has the boat sailed so far that we can't read each other's faces? Can we tell if someone is sad, happy, angry, worried, or excited? Do we know how to read the faces right in front of us, or are we too busy reading the latest trends on our phones that we've forgotten to read the faces of those who are right here? Are we too busy scrolling through TikTok that we ignore the war in Ukraine or climate change, but the sea is lapping at the doorways of someone else and not me as the voice of pity and not empathy? Have we forgotten? Have we forgotten that we are all connected? We are all the same, we are all human? Just like the sea, we are all one. For some reason, we have a need to separate the sea depending on where it is in the world. Arctic, Atlantic, Indian, Pacific. Yet, it is all one sea. It is all connected, it is all water, it is all a holder of life, it is all the same as the next. The only difference are the fish that live in that area of the sea. A different way of life, yet still a fish living in the sea. A different culture or background, yet still a fish living in the sea. A different color or size, yet still a fish living in the sea. A vast sea of all different fish swimming in their own currents, yet coming back together. Humanity has to come together, or all will be lost forever. Empathy, not apathy, remember?
All right, judges, third time, we're getting used to it. Lightning speed now. 3, 2, 1, up with those scores. We've got from left to right a 9.0. We have a 9.0. We have an 8.4, and then completing the Vulcan line now, we have another 9.0. All right, that means that on deck we have Diego Hickman, but right now we're going to hear a poem from Riel Paling.
I don't know, I'm kind of short, so calm me down. Filipino zero. Okay, cool, you can hear me. Like a leaf in the wind, blowing from an autumn tree. Like a leaf in the wind, I just want to be free. A leaf in the wind, that's what I want to be. My name is Riel, and my favorite number is 3. I'd be lying if I said that I held a lot of shame, not crying or complying. It's my favorite game. Do the outrageous and unspeakable, all out in public. My shame will remain microscopic. Why I do this, I don't even know, though I know some who want to throw me out a window when I say things or do things that have them like, whoa, and I've got them all grumpy like they've got heavy flow. All of this is just tomfoolery. That'll never fill me up with glee. I'll let you know, without being sarcastic, some examples on how I make my life fantastic. Letting it hang, that one's a classic. I get on all fours and scream like I'm Jurassic. To look like a fool, I act like I am spastic. And to make it all cool, I act enthusiastic. Sometimes my life just feels so obsolete, but it all feels complete when I see some feet. All of my friends know that I am elite, and my face is open, so please take a seat. No shame, my aim is just not to be lame, to be remembered like a photo in a picture frame. My plan, so strict, I know it's perfect. A person that's so perverse that it's worth it. Just know my plan is just beginning. A plan so good, it'll leave you spinning. A plan so good, it'll have you grinning. A plan so good that it's prize winning. I'll be so shameless, it'll leave me sitting, condemned to hell, where they'll be disciplining me, who is just living out my life and having everything end in nothing but strife. That's step 1, getting lost in delusion. This whole personality is just an illusion, a way for me to feel like I am something special, because without it, I feel like I'm just a null. In actuality, who really cares if I feel special from other people's stares? It's up to me who I want to be. All of this is a part of my identity. So, I'll be the one who's inside your walls, to creep you out like a row of dolls. Treat you all like Neanderthals, because I am a demon and I love balls.
Let's give it up one more time for Riel. All right, judges, 3, 2, 1. You heard the bang mob. You made the We have an 8.8, and then we have not 1, not 2, but 3 8.9s. Give it up for the poet and not the poet. Now they're really getting the handle on the higher thing. I appreciate that. All right, so on deck right now we have a poem from Deanne Rodriguez, but right now we'll hear from Diego Hickman.
80 beats per minute. That's how fast a heart beats. 80 turns to 70, 70 to 50, then to 20, then 0. After that, you're gone. 81 years, that's the average life expectancy for a human being. But if the average is so high, then how did 81 turn to 16 so quick? 120 million is how many breaths you accumulate over 16 years of life, every breath telling a different story, every breath sharing a different adventure. But why do all those breaths, all those stories lead to an end? Is life just like a big story, like an adventure, bound to lead to an end? My childhood group consisted of 5 people. My brother Enzo, one of my best friends Justin, his sister Karen, her basketball friend Alicia, and I. During the evenings, we would always spend time together, whether that be just at someone's house or sitting at the bottom of my street on the warm summer asphalt. We just enjoyed each other's company. Honestly, sometimes I forget we were all friends. We were so close, it was like we were siblings. In 2018, we got life-changing news that has changed my life forever. Karen got diagnosed with stage 4 rhabdomyosarcoma, a rare type of connective tissue cancer. I was only 11 at the time, so I wasn't really sure what that meant or how drastically it was going to affect me. I mean, how was an 11-year-old supposed to know what a rhabdomyosarcoma was? I remember the first time seeing Karen after the diagnosis. It felt surreal. Like everything has changed but nothing at the same time, you know? She was still Karen, she looked like her, she sounded like her, it was still her. Once we knew about her cancer, we would hang out all of the time. From going on road trips to FaceTiming on the phone, we did it all. My brother and I would stay at her place until 3 a.m. every single night just to maximize our time together because we had no idea how much time we had left. One time when we went over, she had just finished a cycle of chemo. At that exact moment, I knew just how serious this actually was. She looked so tired and almost lifeless. She was pale, she was cold to the touch. About a year later, Karen told her parents that she was done trying. After the worst year of her life, going through the worst torture imaginable, she was done being tired, she was done feeling lifeless, she was done chemo. My parents told me what she had said once they heard it from her mom, and my heart fell out of my chest. I ran to my room, I picked up my phone, and I called her at least 5 times until she picked up and said, "Hello?" And that's all it took for me to break down. I begged and I begged her to continue her chemo, but to no avail. She was just too tired. Karen had enough. On October 4th, 2020, my dad walked into my room and told me to come downstairs in a disappointed manner. What did I do? It's my birthday. How am I in trouble today? I walked into my living room and I saw my brother crying in hysterics. That's when I knew something was up. Karen passed away. The look on my dad's face and those 3 words still haunt me to this day. I sat there and stared in anguish. I was trying to recall our last conversation, our last interaction, but then it hit me. I just lost my best friend. She was only 16. 16. Life is too short. Hug your best friend. Say hi to that person you've been dying to talk to. Say I love you to your mom, because you never know what's going to happen in the next 3 seconds, 5 minutes, 7 hours, and 1 year. Most goodbyes are temporary, but this one means forever. Goodbye, Karen. Thank you for everything.
One more time. All right, judges, we never promised it would be easy, but you still got to give it a score. 3, 2, 1, up with scores. We have a 9.1. We have a 9. We have a 9.2 and another 9.1. Give it up for the poet and not the poet. This means that Marwa, you are on deck, but right now we're going to hear a poem from Deanne Rodriguez. Give it up for Deanne.
July 24th, 2022 is the day. And no, it wasn't just no ordinary day. It was the day where I felt betrayed and lost my best friend, mentally and physically. So now I'm gonna tell y'all in the world how I'm feeling today. Dear best friend, you're at peace at last. And I know this had all happened too fast. And if I could go back in time, I would just collapse. Why? Maybe because we could finally be together again at last. But I know the things you did, you wasn't trying to hurt me now. I tried to tell you what you was doing wrong, but you ain't ever try to hear me out. This feeling, knowing I can't say goodbye one last time, is all crazy to me. Because I know you can hear me deeply up in heaven now. But the voices in my head, from your laughter to the thought of your smile, they be on repeat in my head now. And that's what hurts me deeply. I try not to let the pain change me, but to be the realest ones to leave me. You're an angel from heaven gates, but this hurts like hell. All I can do is just take a bow, but I'm too scared now. Why? Because I need you. All this pain hurting me, making me finally realize everything gonna be okay. But how? But I kept telling myself that love is fake and that love will break, because one day I was with you, the next day you flake. All these tears and stress, man, I need a break. My head is starting to ache, knowing you ain't with me, for heaven's sake. Now I have to give or take. Listen. I've been feeling lonely. I just want my best friend back, and it hurts me more knowing I can't change the past, and that the one day was the last goodbye, and it went by so fast. And I've asked God to bring you back at last, but things just escalated real fast. Everything I did was in the past, but now I'm here to this day walking fast, because I never know when it's going to be my last. I've been through some things you guys won't ever understand. My own best friend left me, and now she's in her own land. Now I'ma make a plan to stand tight and make it grand. I'ma have to make a grand in one hand and demand. I gotta stay strong for you or some things can go wrong. All I'm doing is just trying to play along, cause this feeling still feels like a dream and I still wanna scream. Things just have gotten real extreme. Me and you was a team, forever and for life. No matter where you at, whenever, wherever, whatever, it's gonna always be forever. We was really tight and now I'm at fright. This feeling's been making me wanna fight. I was polite but now that shit's out of sight. Cause I don't really know if I'm real or if life itself is ideal. Cause my soul itself still needs time to heal. I might need to stop my face twice to break the ice and know it's past the night. But now I'm here needing advice. When you was out there rolling a dice, all I ever wanted was for you to think twice. And I know we're all rather young, dumb, or numb. But how come? See, we could have had more years to come. But I'm a promise to be the woman you wanted me to become. Aside from me acting like a bum, you still stayed in our little bubble. I know I may have caused you trouble. But listen, our bond was beyond. People started to respond. It's because we was really strong. Man, I'm tired. I wouldn't even care if I got fired. Damn, I was a liar. Is this a dream? I might need to call the SWAT team. Maybe they can help my self-esteem redeem. All I'm saying is I want to scream. How can they take you away from me so early? I'm at lost in words. I'm at exhaust. I need to pop an idea in my head to defrost because I can no longer have this feeling. I love you, Sophia, forever and always. And I'm gonna keep my promise and be the woman you always wanted me to become, aside from me, always wanted me to become, and send a letter to heaven saying I'll never forget her. Long live Sophia.
All right, judges, we're just about halfway there for this block, so speed on accuracy, 3, 2, 1, up with those scores. We have, from left to right, a 9.3. We have another 9.3. We have a 9.2 and an 8.8. Give it up for the poet and not the poet. Which means that, Warren, you are on deck, but right now we're going to hear a poem from Marwa.
Before you ask, no, I'm not bald under the scarf. No, I'm not from that country where women can't drive cars. No, I would not like to defect. I'm already Canadian, but thank you for offering. Yes, I speak English. Yes, I carry explosives. They're called words. A weapon forged in ink where truth slurs. In this world of silence, I refuse to comply. I detonate my voice, let the sparks fly. How funny the world has become. I'm mocked for choosing to wear hijab. I get stereotyped for the way I'm dressed. Some people even claim I'm oppressed. But let me tell you, it's a choice that I make. To define my identity, my own path to take. My hijab is my choice. To cover my hair, to raise my voice. It's a symbol of my faith, my identity. a way to show the world my dignity. In my hijab I've found solace, never to feel shy in my womanness. My hijab has rather strengthened my inner beauty, and it is a symbol of my femininity. For me, it is liberation, a way to express my self-determination. It's a shield from the world's judgmental gaze, a reminder of my worth, my inner grace. I won't let society's expectations dictate my ways. It's a choice, pure and profound, to wrap oneself in fabric, tightly bound. You know me not for what's inside. You judge the clothing I wear with pride. My body is not for your eyes to hold. You must speak to my mind, not my feminine mold. I wear my hijab with dedication and honor, to show the world who I am. It's about my freedom to stand, for it's a part of who I am. They say my body, my choice, until a woman wants to cover herself. Then they claim I'm oppressed and brainwashed. But what happened to my choice? They try to silence my voice, but I refuse to be a voiceless noise. My hijab is a crown, a mark of my pride, a flag of strength where true beauty resides. It is not a symbol of silence or fear, but a bold declaration that I am standing here. Why do you seem offended by my dress code? After all, my veil does not cover my intellect nor taint my achievements. So don't judge me for what I wear, or assume that I'm oppressed, that I'm in despair. Look beyond the fabric, see the fire in my eyes, the strength in my heart and the dreams that arise. I'm not defined by the cloth that I wear, but the passion that burns and the resilience I bear.
Excellent stuff. All right, judges. Now we need your opinions. 3, 2, 1. Up with your scores. We have from left to right a 9.8, a 9.5, an 8.9, and a 9.0. Give it up for the poet. This means that once you are on deck, but right now we're going to hear a poem from Warren Boone.
Yo, mic check, 1, 2. Mic check again because I gotta take this binder clip off. Yo, my piece is called Guy Says Words. Why? Because I'm a guy and I'm gonna say some words. So deep stuff right here. Anyway, so basically, I bought some shoes from a drug dealer the other day. Now I don't know what he laced them with, but I've been tripping all day. Yo, PSA, my name is not Raiden. The way people mix us up like military-grade blenders is ridiculous. Students and teachers alike got me miffed. It's killing parts of my soul that I didn't know existed. I thought I gave it in exchange for what I'm worth, but remembering that time, it did say card declined. Ever since I walked out looking like an evident bozo, so it's a wonder how I'm more effective solo. Except not really. I'm probably slightly misanthropic. Sometimes people are like stairs, getting me exhausted. But I can tell you firsthand, being a hater isn't fun. Like breaking news, some doofus is yelling at the sun. Gotta say, I'm pretty good at beating myself up. Check the numbers on the board. The score is 96-1. How did I even lose? I don't remember. But to be honest, we all got issues. We all got problems. I'm a bit closed off. I'm still the least charismatic. Part of the reason I got the mask and 2 jackets. Friends say it's also because I'm rude and unsightly. But I think it's because I'm rude and unsightly. I'm trying to be a top dog like the label TDE, trying to get a leg up like how a dog got a pee. I said I was the GOAT. They said, dog, what you mean? Your relationship's parasitic, like a dog with its fleas. I said, please elaborate. They said, you're socially inept. You just harassed them to ask the teachers your questions. I asked, they dumb it down, they responded, you're stupid. It took a while to process that I was kind of foolish. Now I asked for their names. They said, I'm your inner demon. So I replied, well, damn. Now isn't this convenient? They said, should have introduced. Sorry, we haven't met before. I flashed them a smile and defenestrated them off the 7th floor. Look, I just know the day that I ever show a wound is the day a guy pulls out an assault gun and shoots like, dude, I thought those were for bugs and pests. What are you insinuating? What are you trying to suggest, man? I ain't got time for this. I gotta get on track because my track record's looking pretty whack. You know, I done slipped up so many times, I couldn't keep track. If I did, I'd be fatigued like if I were running track. I try to keep it fly like a constipated pigeon, but on the flip side, I also know I'm full of nonsense. People tell me that I should be more confident. It would help if I wasn't skeptical of every compliment. You know, it makes me a bit unlikable, but what's something that you didn't know? I also tend to be unprompted, overly critical. In all my great glory, I couldn't sell you a boring poem, but it's been too long since I've had a celebratory tone. So let's go, yeah? Yo, they call me the GOAT out of a sample size of me, and little did you know that I was actually a tree where I can root for myself. You won't be near to hear me fall, and best of all, I comply when people ask me to leave. Hey, if I'm good at two things, it's chess and rhyming by the pound, and I don't care about points, I just like messing around. I'll be damned if I stop feeling myself because y'all don't like my energy or the shoes the dealer dealt. Y'all are tripping.
Subtitle to the title, which was not said out loud, which is Guy Says Words, Lad Utters Sounds. All right, judges. 3, 2, 1, up with your scores for that vote. We have a 9.3. We have a 9.5, and a score being erased and replaced because you were convinced to go higher, maybe? Oh, we got a 9.3. This means that Mara, Julian, you are on deck, but right now we're going to hear a poem from Vince Narciso. Give it up for Vince all the way
I love this team. Although I didn't know what the screams and cheers were about in my living room at the time when I was young, I was surely born a fan. They definitely have a colorful past, and I'm hopeful for a brighter future. But I'd be lying if I said I've always been optimistic and supportive of the Vancouver Canucks. It's a bittersweet torment as each new season moving forward is one that's filled with more disappointment and heartbreak than the last. This derailed train that hasn't moved somehow took me places. Obviously none of them are good, but none of them are what we expected. Despite the loss in an honorable fight against Golden Knights, the future was looking bright. But it didn't take long before these roaring 20s quickly transformed into a Great Depression. After dismantling the once ruthless regime of Jim Benning, it's becoming clear that even though we're no longer held back with the chains and restraints of our old handlers, this organization continues to be infested with a parasitic infection that is stuck deep in our intestines. We went into that warm welcoming like being cooked up by a connoisseur of barbecue. But from Bruce, there it is, to Bruce, there he wasn't the only leader sent packing without remorse. No, literally, we could actually abandon our captain out at sea. $56 million in the next 7 years of time gave us apathy in the form of somebody standing in to be our new beloved figurehead. But the stubbornness to make this sinking ship float has left many of us drowning in the water. Although I'll be honest, it hasn't always been agonizing misery rooting for this beleaguered franchise. Regardless, it's an important case of deja vu year after year. They're not good enough to make that gladiator group of 16, but they're not terrible enough to prospect a better future, better tomorrow in each draft class. You'd think that after a decade of failures to reinforce this rotting core foundation that was once nice, amazing, and strong, that they just tear down to reconstruct from square one. But management's inconsistent decisions have kept us in this quicksand demise for the past decade, suffocating slowly while no one hears our irritable screams. It's a tragic romance, resembling going back to an ex that doesn't like me or make me happy. Ultimately, my heart is both loathes and loves this team simultaneously. I'm divided in this fan base's prolonged fanatical civil war. But even though they put me through vexation, I'll stick by them as I have been doing for the past 16 years of my life. Go Canucks, go.
Keep it going for Vince Narciso, that brutal takedown of the Canucks administration. Give it up, give it up. All right. 3, 2, 1, up with those scores. We have from left to right an 8.4, an 8.5, an 8.5, and another 8.5. Give it up for the poet and not the poet. This means that on deck right now we got Ahmed and Lara, but right now we'll hear a poem from Mara Julia. Give it up for Mara Julia.
I remember the way things used to be. I was running, wild and free. I don't know of the plans for me life has in store. It has me on my knees and begging for more. I had caught a glimpse of my future. I no longer want to be sidelined on the bleacher. Growing up, it's pretty scary. Growing up, the responsibilities are heavy. Growing up, the possibilities are endless. Growing up, the rules are bendless. Diving headfirst into life is a senseless thing to do. It can tear you up, leaving you looking so blue. Growing up, it seems so unreal. Growing up, it has that unrealistic feel. I feel as though I am in a dream, a spotlight focused on me, a bright yellow beam, my words locked in my head, a silent scream, I'm coming apart at the seam. Growing up, it's a strange feeling. Growing up, the effects have me reeling. The future seems so close, yet far away. I just have to take it day by day. The future is clear, yet uncertain, as if the future is hidden behind a curtain. Growing up, everything is so unclear. It clouds up my mind with a feeling like fear. Growing up, I'm not ready. Growing up, my heart is pounding, it isn't quite steady. Growing up, soon the life I know will be over. A new start is beginning. Growing up, my head is spinning. Growing up, my ears are ringing. Growing up, I still have so much to learn. How we grow is our concern. Growing up, yes, maybe I'm not ready. Growing up, yeah, maybe my heart isn't steady. Growing up, it might be unclear. Growing up, it might give you fear. Growing up, it might have you reeling. Growing up, it might be a strange feeling, but at least you know where you stand. Growing up, yes, maybe you'll fall. Just get back up and stand up tall. Maybe growing up isn't so bad after all, because if you fall and can't get on your feet, someone will always be there to help you regain your beat. Growing up, you may never be ready. Growing up, your heart may never be steady.
That was Mara Julia. Let's hear it one more time for Mara. All right, guys. We're getting close to the end of your scoring routine. Yes, well, one more after this. But for now, we're going to get your penultimate score. 3, 2, 1, up with those scores. We have an 8.4, we have an 8.9, we have an 8.3, and an 8.7. But let's give it up for the poet and not the poet. So, rounding out this block of the Poetry Slam, let's give a big, warm welcome to Ahmed Amara!
So, why do you want this job? Sis, the money. Why else would I want this crappy job? And that is the start of my 6 months of misery. Now, some of you work in lifeguard or retail. I had to work in a fast food chain for 6 months, dealing with crappy managers, idiotic customers, early morning shifts, and Lord, the list keeps going on and on and on and on. But at the end of the day, the customer is always right. The only right a customer can do is walk right out that door and never come back. And yes, I don't care who you are or what you do, just leave. Now, of course, not all customers are conniving, raging lowlives. I'd say the ratio is 1 good customer to 1 billion outlandish customers. Let me just give you an example. Excuse me, but the menu was super bright. Well, obviously, you're ordering at night. What else are you expecting to be super bright? It's a literal child menu. The radio system was so distraught by their stupidity that it glitched and shut down, making my life another living hell. And before you start lecturing me about how, oh, you should understand where they're coming from, maybe understand where I'm coming from when I have to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning to go to an 8-hour shift trying to calm down an angry adult child. Now I consider myself to be a very merciful person, but the moment you open that agitating hole that you call a mouth, my mercy plummets lower than your negative bank balance. Now, at the end of the day, is it my fault? Hell no. Just because your Discord munching ugly self can't go one day without nearly clogging your arteries doesn't mean you have to let hell loose in a fast food chain, let alone a 16-year-old child. We have Instagram and Reddit for that, alright? And now finally, the top of the mountain, the cherry on top, my breaking point. I was working at still as a trainee, as a cashier in the drive-thru, and this grown man pulls up, asks me to pay for his order, and then after proceeds to ask me to scan his card. Being the amazing employee I am, I knew you always had to scan before paying for your order. And then I told him that, and then not even 2 minutes later, Mans went on a rampage about how it was my fault for not scanning his points card. Like, I'm sorry, aren't you supposed to scan it before paying for your orders? Because you even have one? Well, it's your fault. No, you rat, it's your mama's fault for giving everything to you on a silver spoon. It's your mama's fault for calling you so damn much that you become an entitled mama's boy. It's your mama's fault for not teaching you how to brush your teeth. That's why that mildew stuck between your two front teeth. And it's your daddy's fault for not bringing back the milk when you were a child. So please, for the love of God and for my sanity, be nice to service workers.
Alright, we're going to ask that everyone pulls out their cell phone at this time, as you are going to be voting for the People's Choice Award. So the QR code that is going to go on the screen here, you're going to scan, and you're going to vote for one presenter for the People's Choice Award.